Hey friends, this is She's At It Again, and my name is Tanya. And today I'm kind of excited because since not really going off sugar, but eating a whole lot less processed sugar than I did maybe even 2 years ago, since a family member was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and it's something they couldn't have because it's so high inflammatory, I just kind of started using honey for a whole lot of things and doing without sugar on a lot of cases. But I had a friend call me yesterday and asked me to make some cookies for a wedding shower. And I'm pretty excited about it because I don't get to make desserts that often. And that was something I was really, really passionate about. I love making bread and I like cooking, meals. But desserts are just so much fun because it just brings people so much joy. And they're just so good. But I talked with her and she said it didn't have to be a fancy decorated cookie. So I suggested something and she went with it. She said, that sounds like a lovely idea. And the nice thing about these is that a lot of times you'll have people in your midst that you're not really aware of it, that, for chocolate lovers like me, if it's chocolate, I'm heading straight over to it. But there are people who just don't do chocolate. Whether it's because of an allergy or just some kind of reaction to it, they just don't navigate toward that and just really steer clear of things with chocolate in it. So this is one of those desserts that will make them very happy when they see it on a dessert bar because it contains no chocolate. So join me as we go and make some lemon raspberry thumbprints. I think you're going to like them. Stay tuned. All right, we're going to get started on our lemon raspberry thumbprints, and in my mixing bowl I have 2 sticks of butter, which is a cup. So start it with a cup of butter, and I'm going to use my wire whisk for this. I don't always use this for cookies, but the thing we're going to stir in last that would cause it to have an adverse reaction to whether or not we use the mixer or not will be the flour, and I'm just going to stir it in as best I can, trying to avoid using the mixer. It just builds up that gluten and makes the cookies kind of tough. They're not as light and airy as they would generally be, but honestly, I just want to say this just for the record. As fast as I eat a cookie, I don't notice if it's tough or not. I don't notice if it's light or if it's tough. I just eat it for the taste. So anyway, according to all the cooking experts out there, which I am not, you don't want to just continually stir your flour into things. And I get that with things like cornbread and muffins and things like that. But with cookies, I eat them too fast. So let's beat our sugar up, or beat our butter up just a little bit. They're going to add some sugar. All right, now I've actually had this in the mixing bowl. It's really, really softened because I put this in there last night before I went to bed and put my famous shower cap over it. And it has been coming to room temperature all night long, so it's very soft. So we're putting a cup of, this is raw sugar, it's unbleached, and it is pure cane sugar. If your bag of sugar, if it's like store brand sugar and it just says ingredients is sugar, it could possibly be beet sugar. That's not something that I would encourage anybody to eat. Chances are it's genetically modified. Not a guarantee, but chances are it is. That's just a big, it's just a big GMO crop. If it says pure cane sugar, it's in a better situation, but still yet it's been bleached. Why? I'm just not sure, other than just color. I don't necessarily think it could be shelf life because really sugar doesn't necessarily go bad, but ideally you would use a raw sugar that has not been bleached. So all that being said, that's what I have in here. So we have a cup of butter and a cup of sugar, and we're just going to beat this for a while until it gets light and airy. Now you will have to scrape down your bowl periodically because that butter likes to stick to the sides. Our oven is preheating to 350, so that'll be preheated by the time we get our cookies ready to go in the oven. Okay, time to get it fluffy. All right, ideally, what you want to do is get that butter and sugar so light and airy that you almost cannot tell that there's grains of sugar in it. I mean, you want it a super smooth, not smooper, you want it a super smooth consistency. Don't just rush through this part thinking, well, it's all mixed up, so it's fine. It's not fine until you get it light and airy. All right, for right now, we are going to add, we're going to add a tablespoon of lemon peel. Now, fortunately, I had a tablespoon left. When I buy organic lemons, the first thing I do before I ever juice them or cut them up or anything is to wash them real well, first of all, and zest the peel off of them. So you can see in here, I have a jar of lemon peel, and it smells really lemony. It's not like the dried stuff. I mean, sometimes you just have to resort to buying the dried off the shelf, but your best way to get this is to zest those lemons and keep the jar in the freezer. I have a jar of lime peel, I have a jar of lemon peel, and I have a jar of orange peel in my freezer. They're all labeled accordingly. And then when I need it for cases like this, then I have it on hand. And it has so much more flavor to it. So that is about a tablespoon of lemon peel. Lemon zest, if you will. For some reason, the flavor of lemon and the flavor of raspberry just go so well together. As a kid, of course, I did not know this. I mean, I grew up on biscuits and gravy. I was not familiar with a raspberry lemon thumbprint. But lemon and raspberry are fabulous together. All right, to this, we want to add 1/4 teaspoon of lemon extract. Make sure it's the pure lemon extract. I don't know if I can get that in there. I was going to say, if you have one of these, I highly recommend these for measuring out extracts of any kind because it's so accurate, but I can't get this down in that bottle, so I'm going to use this one. This is similar to that one. I'll show you what this one looks like. So I'm going to measure out 1/4 teaspoon. And luckily, it's easy to pour it back in the bottle if you get too much, which I just did. Okay, that is about 1/4 teaspoon. You can see the measure on here. That bottom one right there is 1/4 teaspoon. That's kind of blurry. It's still focusing. There you go. Okay, so 1/4 teaspoon of lemon extract. And then we're going to go with a full teaspoon of vanilla. And I make my own, and I put it in a bottle like this. This is not the bottle I make it in. I make it in a much bigger bottle. But I keep it in this with a little dropper lid on it. It's just easy to dish it out. We covet those bottles of homemade vanilla. That's some good stuff. Okay, teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to use 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So there's 1/4, and there's 1/4. Okay, we're going to mix this up until it's all well combined, and then we're going to add our egg to it. Okay, this egg still has chicken poop on it, so just got to make sure I don't let that part touch something else. Of course, it's going to be baked. It's not like chicken poop's going to kill you. I'm sure somebody's had that at one point or another. I just don't want it in my cookies. All right, we're going to add our egg. and get that mixed real well. We're going to mix this again till it's again light and fluffy, like super fluffy like frosting. Okay, unplug our mixer. That'll keep me from trying to cheat and mix it up with the mixer. I actually want to stir the flour in. We're now adding 2 3/4 cups of plain flour. This is just organic plain flour. These cookies can be made larger with just a regular cookie dough scoop that equals about a tablespoon of dough, but I'm using my very, very smallest cookie dough scoop, which is just a little more than a teaspoon or right around a teaspoon if you level it off, because this is a bridal shower and things are just a little more dainty at events like that rather than like say a potluck or a family reunion or something like that where you'd have big hefty cookies or a kid's birthday party. But these are just so pretty because the dough, the cookie itself isn't a bright yellow like, you know, a artificially colored cookie or anything, but just a very, very pale yellow. And then it has that just dot of raspberry filling in that indention in the center of it, and they're just so cute on a plate. These are just really, really pretty cookies. Plus, as unexciting as lemon raspberry sounds, they pack a punch with the flavor. I've taken these to events. Back when my daughter graduated from high school, they had a progressive dinner, and one of the places that they wound up at the end was the house for dessert. And that's the house where I was stationed. And so each graduate that, if their mother was on the dessert team, they were asked what their favorite dessert was, and that parent tried to provide that particular dessert. Well, my daughter said, I have too many favorites. So she said these were good cookies and she liked those, and she was aware that one of her friends, our very good friend named Bryce, did not eat chocolate because of just an aversion to it. He had I think he had a bad reaction to it when he was younger and just didn't want to risk trying it again. So knowing that he couldn't have chocolate and she figured there'd be a lot of chocolate there, she opted for these so everybody could have something. And Bryce liked these a lot, but there were other kids that wound up asking if I could give the recipe to their mom. That's how good they were. Normally kids are like, yeah, whatever, dessert, sugar, I'm good. They get all hyped up, move on. But these are good enough where kids ask for the recipe for their parents to make it for them. So I thought that was a good sign. Okay, this is not a wet dough. This is a crumbly dough. I would say expect it to be the texture of Play-Doh. So that's what you're looking for. I thought I preheated my oven. Apparently I didn't preheat my oven. Now we're preheating the oven. I'm not sure how that didn't turn on a while ago. Couldn't have been anything I did wrong. Wink, wink. That'll give us time to get our cookies all made and put on the pan. Now, the raspberry filling will not go in these until they finish baking and cooling. Otherwise, the raspberry jam would just melt into the cookie and you just have a hole there that was kind of raspberry colored. My oven makes a slight sound when the fan comes on because it's a convection oven, so I should have known when I didn't hear that noise that the oven wasn't on. But when I'm talking, I don't always listen for the oven. That's a really good, pretty consistency. It's so smooth. That's why you want to be sure and beat all those ingredients super well. Don't rush through that process. I am the world's worst at, or was the world's worst at, even making things like chocolate chip cookies. I just put the butter and sugar in there and start mixing it around. As soon as it kind of came together, I'd be like, okay, yeah, time to add your other ingredients. And I have learned to be so patient with that. And the more patient I am, then the more I beat it to where it is super soft and fluffy, and you almost cannot tell that it has granules of sugar in it. Man, it really pays off. I'm telling you, if there's anything I could stress about making your cookies better than what they already are, if you're making cookies from scratch, is let that beater run, or let that mixer run with those beaters on for a long time. Once you get your butter and sugar and eggs in there, incorporate those, and just mix them until they are so light and fluffy. You just think there's no reason to keep mixing. You just can't, almost can't get them too well mixed. All right, let's scoot our mixer back. We're going to bring our pans over. I don't block anything. I got to make sure these are in view of both my cameras. Okay, we're good with it. Now I have parchment down. You don't have to use parchment. If you have a good stainless steel pan or something you just really like, I would advise not, or highly recommend not using a dark baking pan. I'm not sure why they make those pans, honestly. You're going to wind up with a cookie that is too brown on the bottom and not done in the center. So as shiny and bright of a pan as you can possibly get is your ideal cookie baking pan. For pies, those are great, the dark pan, but not a sheet pan for cookies. I go to bridal showers. I see girls open these dark, I don't even know what brand they are. When I was younger, I think it was called Baker's Secret or Echo or whatever, and they'd hold them out and they go, oh, I got baking pans. I'm thinking, don't use those. Don't use those. You're going to think you're the worst cookie maker in the world because your cookies are burned on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to take these, and just the way I get these out is, as you can see, I'm just pressing the cookie dough scoop up against the wall of the bowl, and they turn out looking like a little turtle shell. They're so cute. And again, these are super tiny, but of course you can make them bigger. Okay, we have our cookies sectioned out. I almost put these in the oven and I was like, oh no, I forgot to make the little holes in them. Okay, I'm just taking the end of a wooden spoon, pushing it down in there. Now you might have to hold on to the cookie to keep it from lifting up off the pan. And these won't look so drastic once they bake, they'll soften up as far as the edges. It won't look like somebody took a 22 and shot through these, so we should be good with it. You just want a little indention big enough to put your raspberry jam in. Try to center it as much as you can. I know mine are going to be off-centered, but hopefully there's not going to be any mathematicians at the shower over there with their caliper measuring things. I just want to eat them and enjoy them. Let's see, I could put this over here so you could watch this too. I know there are viewers who are probably going, why would you show the entire process of punching the holes in them? Just get on with it. And then there are those of us who go, man, that's relaxing to watch that. So I'm hoping you're one of those who think that's relaxing. All right, last pan. I actually have more dough left over, and I'll just use it for bigger cookies because she only wanted 3 dozen, but this will make many more than that, but she'll be pleased with that. And she's such a sweet, sweet friend. When she called yesterday, I thought maybe something was wrong. She's older than I am, and she's so sweet. But nothing was wrong. She was just wondering if I made cookies or somebody else that I knew of made cookies, and I told her I'd be happy to do that. Okay, we're going to pop these in the oven, and then when I take them out of the oven, I won't necessarily video that part, but I will video them after it's cooled off, and then we'll put the raspberry filling in, so we'll be back. All right, so our cookies have baked, obviously. They're on the cooling rack. These are ones that I just took out. I cooked those in a separate pan. So what I want to do is show you probably like the perfect cookie here. And let me come around here so I can make sure I'm getting this right. See how it has just enough brown on the edge. The bottom is not overbaked. Just cooked perfectly. So these are not going to get super brown. See the little tiny bit of tan right there? They're not mushy, they're not raw, they're not underdone, but they're certainly not overdone. So this is how you want your cookies to look. Now this is the brand of raspberry fruit spread. You can buy jam, jelly, whatever. But I try to get the seedless, and this is seedless. It just it's just for a prettier presentation when you get seedless. But I also try to get one that has really good fruit flavor in it. Some of them you buy it and it's just like a bunch of sugar that has a faint taste of fruit in it. But this brand, and there's another brand called Crofters that's really super good. So when I say this takes a tiny amount for each one, I'm talking tiny amount. This is 1/4 of a teaspoon. I don't even know if it used half for that little spot in the center. So just try not to make a big blobby mess out of it. It's not going to affect the flavor. It's all about the way it looks for right now because, again, these are for a wedding shower. And fill them up as much as you can, but you don't want to overfill them. But again, these have to be cooled off before you put this in there, or else it'll just kind of sink into the cookie and then you'll still have a hole left in the top of it. Now if you have a decorating tube and you want to put, or a decorating bag, and you want to put the filling in a decorating bag and make these go quickly, then that's totally up to you. These are just good enough to where you might want to make multiple batches of them. I'm telling you, the smell is so good, and it could be because of that fresh lemon zest that I use and not like a dried version of it. It is just very, very fragrant. And as you can see, I have a teeny, teeny, tiny little rubber scraper here. And that's what that comes in handy for. If you're like me, I go into a gadget store and there's so many things I see in there and I think, oh, I don't have one of those. But, you know, not that I'll ever use everything in the store, but when I see something like this, I know for a fact I got something in mind that I want to use it for. Okay, I'm going to get these filled up and then I'll let you see a final product as soon as we get them plated up, just so you can see how pretty they are. Okay, friends, back at the spot we started in, I wanted to show you the final product just so you know how very, very pretty these cookies are. Okay, isn't that fun? Almost looks like chocolate from the color in this, but trust me, it's a red raspberry jam. Ooh, these are so good. My daughter's going to be excited. I'm fixing to take her some out in the sunroom. So y'all have a good day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. And I hope you try these. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks. Bye. Okay, one more brief thing for you. I have the cookies packed in here in these little boxes that are just bakery quality. So I have hers ready for her to come pick up. But I want to show you how I pack the extras. I wanted to send some with her. There are more cookies than what I could fit in those boxes. So she lives alone, so I thought I'd package her up some. So these are just inexpensive, just paper plates. But I've stapled it right there. Staple it right here, and right here. And even if these roll around in the car, they're not going to slide out, not going to lose any. So this is her to-go package of cookies. And I'll put her a little note right on the top to tell her how much I love her and how much I appreciate her order. So anyway, just something extra for you. Okay, we have, nope,